The Seahawks and the Commanders. On paper, beginning of the season, I think this game had a lot to be excited about. And even maybe going into this week, right? I mean, okay, the Commanders are getting Jaden Daniels back, and obviously we're going to talk about his injury and sort of the long-term impact of that. But, man, the Seattle Seahawks were rolling, and it felt like with this game specifically being in Washington, this might be a really good game here. And it turned out to basically be anything but. It turned out to be another game that Seattle was absolutely dominating, like start to finish. And there's a lot of things that I think are short-term for this game, but more important, long-term takeaways for both of these teams. Before we talk about that, though, let's get into the top five. Top five graded players that we had for the Seattle Seahawks. At the very top of the list, it is Jackson Smith-Njigba, who is just simply having one of the best seasons of any skill position player, not just a wide receiver here this season, an elite 90.3 overall grade in this game. Safety Ty Okeda with a 89.8 right behind him. Cornerback Reek Woolen, Dalton, the man's on the trade block currently. And if it was his last game in Seattle, man, it was a pretty good one here. 82.7 overall grade there. Wide receiver Torrey Horton, their rookie, with an 80.7. Linebacker Ernest Jones, an 80.3. And then Sam Darnold. I know we're going to talk about Sam Darnold, but another elite game, a 92.6 overall PFF grade. On Washington's side of things, their rookie, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. You like to see him in the top five. I don't know if Washington wants to see him at the very top of the list, but he is having a good year, and he was the top man here with a 72.4. Wide receiver Deebo Samuel, a 70.2. Offensive guard Tyler Biadasz with a 69.7. Tight end John Bates with a 69.6. Linebacker Frankie Luvu, a 69.0. And then Jaden Daniels, before his injury, a 68.7. Seattle absolutely dominates this game. 38-14 was the final score here from this one. Dalton, what was your stat that told the story?
The game was over at halftime because Sam Darnold has solidified himself as an MVP candidate. It's that simple.
No question.
You look at basically a perfect first half that he played, 16-16, 282, 4 touchdowns, 3 big-time throws, a 95.2 passing grade in the first half of this game, and they go into the half up 31-7. It's that simple. You just got the culmination and now the continuing into the second half of the year of what Klint Kubiak and Sam Darnold have now done together in Seattle through their first 9 games, or I should say, I think 8 games. It's been unbelievable to see what this Seattle offenses look like. I thought there was a lot of positive going into this year after, the turnover they had in the offseason, trading Geno Smith, trading DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett gone, all of the turnover they had, new offensive coordinator. I thought there should have been some more optimism than there was in the offseason, even though there was a lot of turnover. I didn't think it would look this good this quickly, and right now this is one of the best offenses in football. They've got young contributors all over the place. Jackson Smith-Njigba right now might be the offensive player of the year along with Darnold in the MVP race. They're running the ball. It's well enough. It's a little bit inconsistent still. It's a young offensive line they're running behind, but 2 really good tight ends in A.J. Barner, Elijah Arroyo. Torrey Horton, the 5th-round pick, stepping up. He's got a lot of speed and talent, adding a vertical element to this offense, but at the end of it all, it is Sam Darnold in this continued emergence, right? Last year, he was really good under Kevin O'Connell, but everyone went, okay, that team's loaded, and O'Connell's a top 5 play caller, and everything else that goes in with that. And then when he was under pressure against the Lions and the Rams, he couldn't get it done. This is even a different guy than last year. Quicker decisions. He was 9 of 10 on 10-plus yard throws in this game. Just unbelievable stuff that we're seeing from him, and I think playing at a level even the biggest optimist for Darnold could not have expected so far through Week 9.
Yeah, I mean, it's remarkable. I don't know if there's another word that better encapsulates what we're seeing from Sam Darnold, because we see quarterbacks all the time, get better for a season. And now Sam Darnold's case, it was a former top 5 overall pick who played unprecedentedly well in Kevin O'Connell's system with the Minnesota Vikings. But we here on this desk, along with a lot of people out there in NFL media, okay, yeah, the landing spot in Seattle, we felt it could be good, right? You and I really liked what we saw from Klint Kubiak last year as the offensive coordinator for the New Orleans Saints. And, okay, him now being the offensive coordinator in Seattle, you sort of liked that connection because he's sort of from the same tree as Kevin O'Connell. So you're like, all right, maybe the terminology, the philosophies of what he's going to be run, it's similar for him and you can expect some of that success. But to truly be able to stack years together like he had last season and then what he is having this season, it's just unbelievable from him. And it's really cool to watch. I mean, in this game, you talk about under pressure. That was the Darnold thing his entire career before last year. And even last year, those last 2 games, last game of the regular season, first game of the playoffs for Sam Darnold, crumbled under pressure. And you go, see, they were hiding it. They were hiding it all year long, and now he's under pressure, and we saw what happened at the end of the year when he was in Minnesota. he's great under pressure this year. He's got 6 big-time throws. He's got 1 turnover-worthy play. In this game specifically, it wasn't pressured a lot. He was 3 for 3, 83.6 passing grade. Truly an exercising of demons that we have had from Sam Darnold. It's been a lot of fun to watch. I just think it was a bad recipe as well because of how well Sam Darnold is playing this year, paired with my stat that told the story is just that the Commanders have the worst pass coverage group in the NFL. Right? I mean, it's not like, oh, it's one of the worst. Oh, they're not playing so well lately. They are the worst. They're the worst pass coverage group in the league this year, and the numbers back that up. They gave up 330 passing yards in this game. They've given up 2,413 passing yards this season. That's the most in the NFL. And they kind of have everybody out there, right? And I know Marshawn Lattimore is going to be out for the year with a torn ACL. That's not good. Trey Amos, who has played well, the rookie outside corner before this game, really struggled. Gave up over 100 yards himself in pass coverage when he was in man coverage against Jackson Smith and Jigba. It did not look good. The Commanders, independent of a lot of the other things that they have going on, independent of even Jaden Daniels' injury, his injuries prior to this where he's missed a couple of games, some offensive inconsistencies, they have never really given themselves a formula to win games because of how bad their secondary is. And this was another example of a good quarterback taking advantage of that. And I think that's, you said it was over at halftime. It's over at halftime, yes, because of Sam Darnold. But on the flip side, it's also just because they cannot cover anybody this season.
Yeah, the only other coverage unit I've seen that's close to that bad or maybe even equal is Dallas. I mean, that's when you're talking about a team that's given up 31 points a game. The Commanders are in that boat as well, and they're not one of those teams with a really good pass rush that can at least make up for some of that. There's just not enough on this defense, and there's certain games where they just don't give themselves a chance to win. And going back to Darnold real quick, I mean, look, leading the league in passing grade, leading the league in yards per attempt, tied for the league lead in big-time throws, second highest average depth of target in the league. He's attacking downfield, and again, a way faster average time to throw than last season, quicker decision-making than ever, right around 2.6 seconds per throw. It was a bad matchup. And the first thing, I was talking to somebody on a Seahawks pod during the week, and they said, okay, what's your first impression of this matchup? And I just went, I have no idea what the Commanders are going to do with Jackson Smith and Jigba. Just not a clue. With these two as hot as they are, I have no idea what they're going to do with them with their secondary. I mean, they are not capable right now of covering anything on the back end. And really, that alongside the injuries has really killed their season.
Yeah. Most impressive, most disappointing?
Darnold, for me, it's just Darnold across the board. He's just
easy
it's
answer.
just, I mean, and the defense was great. And I mean, Devin Witherspoon coming back and playing mostly on the outside, what Nicky Warri is doing in that kind of box safety role, kind of that hybrid third linebacker. Same thing we've talked about with Kyle Hamilton recently. There's a lot of guys on the defense, like Ty Okada with just the unbelievable interception on the sideline. But at the end of the day, right now, Darnold's the straw that stirs the drink. It's just unbelievable. And for most disappointing, I think it's just the racking up of these Commanders' injuries, right? I think not having Terry McLaurin for most of these games, it just killed the vertical part of their passing game. He was their one vertical threat. Sam Cosmi getting in there late, missing the first few games. Now Jaden Daniels, Marshawn Lattimore, Luke McCaffrey's now out with a broken collarbone. That further hurts the depth. There's just so many injuries on a team that, especially defensively, could not afford it. That's really what's killed this Commanders season. At 3-6, and now without all of these guys, they're pretty much shot when it comes to playoff contention.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Washington, I think the concern for them is more long-term than that, like even this season, and saying that they're sort of shot this season. Because if you guys watched the broadcast last night, you heard them bring this up multiple times, especially in the fourth quarter. This is the oldest roster in the NFL by average age by almost a full year. And if you go into who is under contract for them in 2026 and beyond, they are still the oldest team in the NFL. Now, it's close to the gap's a little bit closer, but it's not like they have a lot of veterans who, okay, they won't be on the team next year. They're going to get a lot younger. They over 27 years old, almost 28 years old, is their average age right now going into 2026. Now, we figured that that'll probably change just from draft picks and probably younger guys that they're going to want to get on the depth of the roster anyways. But speaking of draft picks, when you look at the Laramie Tunsil trade, which cost them a second and a fourth for this upcoming draft, they have a first-round pick, they have no second-round pick, they have a third-round pick, they have no fourth-round pick, and then it's a fifth-rounder, a sixth-rounder, and a seventh-rounder. So you're missing 2 picks in a second-rounder and a fourth-rounder that very clearly you need to build this team and get younger. And look, I don't want to say that I don't want to do the full hindsight game here, because when they acquired Deebo Samuel, when they acquired Marshawn Lattimore, when they got Laramie Tunsil, right? These are veterans. You are looking at the year you had last year with Jaden Daniels as a rookie, right? And I want to be fair to the Commanders here. Jaden Daniels was coming off of a sensational rookie season. You have at least 3 more years, maybe 4 with the fifth-year option, where you can play with the rest of your roster because you have the best situation in all of sports. You have a, no question about it, franchise top 10 quarterback on a rookie contract. And you have that for the next 3 years before you start to get into fifth-year options and extensions and things like that. They went all in on it. They made the playoffs last year. They're feeling themselves for the core of their roster. They're trying to add some veterans to make sure that they can go even further in the playoffs. Made it to the NFC Championship game, right? And so for me to sit here and judge some of the moves that they've had just because they haven't worked, I'm not going to do that. I liked the fact that they kept their foot on the gas pedal, especially so close to the year that Jaden Daniels had last year. But with that being said, the fact of the matter is, this team has been very poor this season. Even with some of the offensive line getting a little bit healthier, they're still poor. Jaden hasn't been as good as he was last year, and now he's dealing with that elbow injury that's going to keep him out for maybe the entire season. Marshawn Lattimore, that swing clearly did not work. Deebo Samuel, that swing did not work for them. And I don't know if Laramie Tunsil has been good at times, but his addition and presence hasn't changed and elevated the offensive line the way they've wanted to. So now you just look at a team where, again, I'm not going to totally ignore how I felt about them going all in with Jaden when they made these moves. But now you're sitting here with Jaden probably out the rest of the year, the oldest roster in the NFL this year, the oldest roster in the NFL when you get to 2026, and not a lot of draft picks to help. So it's just tough to look at where Washington is right now and feel great about the next, I would say, calendar year and a half.
No, I think I don't blame them for any of those moves and trying to go in for a championship, right? I don't have any issue with that. I think the more fun debate is going to come draft time when they're picking in the top 10. Do you take a potentially elite player in the top 10 of this coming draft, or do you trade back and you recoup some of those assets, right? And you try to build a more complete roster with more picks. I think that's going to be a debate to be had. And let's be real. They have a franchise quarterback on a rookie contract. They have more salary cap space than other teams generally would, right? That's the biggest advantage of having a quarterback on that contract is you have the financial flexibility to go and add veterans that you might need. So they're going to add more veterans and maybe just cycle through some different ones to find the right fits. But also I think that is going to be a really fun debate. We talked about it late in the first round when they were picking in this year's draft. Should they trade out of that, 29th or 30th pick that they had last year? Should they trade out of that? I think it's going to be a similar conversation, especially with as many teams need quarterbacks. Should they trade back out of the top 10, get additional assets, and then make more picks in this draft? That might make some sense too, because to me, they need an infusion of talent or depth at running back, at receiver, in the secondary, off the edge when they're pass rush. I mean, and maybe even at linebacker. Who knows if Bobby Wagner's coming back for another year, right? There's a lot of spots on this team that they need help. It's not just one or two problems. So, I really think that's going to be a consideration, and this is going to be a really fun team to talk about come draft time.
Yeah, two teams that just feel like they're going in the very opposite direction when it comes to what the rest of the year is going to look like for them.